Commercial media networks and the departments and agencies of the United States of America promote U.S. world wars as foreign policy in Africa and the Middle East, even though world wars kill people by the millions while contributing to the everlasting refugee crisis. Local TV stations could report the truth about U.S. world wars, but they're not. Ask any TV station news director about U.S. world wars, and they'll tell you about how the network covers that stuff. They'll tell you about how U.S. world wars are not local stories, even though local TV stations produce local feel-good stories about local soldiers returning home from these U.S. world wars to their local wives and local children. The networks and the departments and agencies produce glamorized war reenactments and fictionalized combat scenarios as commercial motion picture entertainment. Most modern superhero movies are full-scale war movies. Hollywood wars are limited only by imagination. The known universe can't contain Hollywood wars. Corporate sponsors commit dollars by the billions to commercial media networks for advertising movies, product pitches, political candidates, and limited one-time offers year after year. Objectivity has no place in a commercial news environment that favors editorial commentary and celebrity opinions over journalism on so many regularly scheduled programs. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, Raytheon and BAE Systems earn dollars by the billions each year from U.S. military contracts. Fort Wayne TV stations could talk about U.S. world wars and the economy in Fort Wayne, jobs, 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 and taxation for war spending, but they're not. In 2016, President Barack Obama ordered military strikes in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, and Syria. In 2017, President Donald Trump ordered military strikes in the exact same 7 nations. Representative Jim Banks, the Indiana Republican representing the 3rd District in Washington, D.C., doesn't talk about how much U.S. world wars cost Indiana families in blood and money. Jim Banks has not joined Representative Tulsi Gabbard's opposition to U.S. intervention in Syria and support for terrorist groups. Gabbard, the Democrat from Hawaii, in December 2016 introduced a bill called the Stop Arming Terrorists Act that bans U.S. funding and assistance to terrorists like the so-called rebel militias committing crimes against humanity in Syria. Jim Banks has not expressed support for the Stop Arming Terrorists Act. With the exception of Tulsi Gabbard and a few others, the Republican and Democratic parties in Washington, D.C. are on the same page when it comes to U.S. world wars. Just like the populace at large, Congress is largely ambivalent when it comes to U.S. world wars in 7 Middle Eastern and African nations. Overthrowing governments in Africa and the Middle East by sponsoring local rebel militias has been official U.S. foreign policy ever since the United States and Great Britain conducted Operation Ajax to overthrow Iran's democratically elected prime minister in 1953. Celebrity conservative commentator Mark Levin promotes U.S. aggression and regime change in Syria as logical foreign policy on radio stations across the country, including WOWO AM in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Even though President Trump has already ordered missile strikes in 7 countries, Mark Levin says the United States should assassinate North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un with China's help. Through his abject fear, Mark Levin somehow musters the courage to call Kim Jong-un Kim Jong-Fat Boy. WOWO AM conservative capitalist Christian personality Pat Miller says Mark Levin is a genius. Pat Miller does not want Indiana Catholics to help Syrian war refugees in the United States because he's afraid they may be terrorists who want to kill Americans. Pat Miller does not talk about the United States giving weapons to the Free Syrian Army that they in turn gave to Al-Nusra Front, the rebel militia ally to the Free Syrian Army that is considered a terrorist group by the United States. Miller condemns Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for an alleged chemical attack on Syrian civilians that has been debunked by rational people like libertarian commentator Ron Paul, the former Republican U.S. representative from Texas. Miller praises President Trump for military strikes on Syrian government targets, even though Syria has not attacked the United States of America and Congress has not declared war on Syria. The U.S. Navy shot down a Syrian fighter jet that was targeting Syrian enemies who are considered allies to the United States in Syria. The U.S. military is attacking Syria to protect enemies of Syria in the Syrian civil war. The Trump administration encourages regime change in Syria by supporting mercenaries who are fighting to depose Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Commercial media networks and the departments and agencies of the United States of America promote U.S. world wars as proper foreign policy, even though the policy kills human beings by the millions. The Washington death cult wages U.S. world wars in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, and Syria, while most citizens in the United States barely notice. That's because U.S. citizens are among the most propagandized people on the planet.